lovelies, welcome back to did I yell? Hi my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So today is Marriage Monday, and as you can see here, I have my beautiful husband with me.
Hello.
Yeah, and we decided to do this video together.
I'm with my beautiful wife, by the way.
Oh, stop it. We decided to do this video together because this topic is something that I feel is really good to hear from both sides of the spectrum, and it is about finances. So finances are a huge problem in marriage. That is actually the leading cause in divorce. So we really wanted to do this video to help you guys if you guys are newlyweds, or maybe if you guys are trying to figure something out with your marriage, you know, if you guys have been married for 10 years or 15 years, you know, whatever the case may be, we're just here to use tips that we've learned along the ways. And like I always say this before every advice video, but we're not experts, we're not doctors or therapists. We are just speaking from our experiences and from what we've gone through. Okay, so we have a couple of tips. I think we came up with 10 tips.
10 tips.
10 tips on how to not let finances make your marriage end in divorce, basically. So let's get started with the tips. Okay, by the way, you guys, I'm so sorry for the lighting, but it is nighttime right now and we are in our apartment and the lighting kind of sucks right now. But this is kind of the only time we get to film videos together because he's always working and we were really busy this weekend. So yeah, excuse the lighting. So I'm looking at the tips that we came up with on my phone. And the first tip that we came up with is knowing your roles and realizing who's better at what. So early on in our marriage, we started to kind of, I guess, appoint each other things to do as far as like, I'm in charge of the bills. So in our marriage from early on, I've been the one in charge of all the bills. I would pay them and make sure we had enough money for them, and I would do the budget and all that stuff.
Yeah, it makes it really simple when someone's like dedicated, especially like she's more organized than I am. So like if she's in charge with like making sure the bills are paid on time, it's a little more easy for her to manage versus like, okay, I'm gonna do half the bills and you do half the bills, and then we're gonna cross our fingers and hope to see if it works, and that's not a good idea. That
would be so bad, because I know nowadays especially like a lot of women are on this feminist power trip to where it's like, well, I'm gonna do half and you're gonna do half or whatever. It has to be 50-50. That is not a good thing to do, because I myself hate when he tries to come into my bill schedule and tries to like pay bills. I'm just like, no dude, I already paid that. Like I don't want to double pay a bill. And sticking with your roles and being okay with having a role. A lot of people nowadays in marriage, they're just so like, you don't tell me what to do and I'm not gonna be just doing this and just doing that. And it's just like, you guys relax. That's how marriage is. And yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, you guys. It's really not a big deal. You can't sit here and complain like, oh, I pay the bills all the time, what do you do? I like budgeting and I like organizing the bills. So that's just how it works in our marriage. And he makes the money.
That's my role.
The second tip that we learned is kind of going along with the last one, and that's to communicate. To have weekly meetings on your budget, set goals, and just talk to each other about how much money's in the account, and just make sure that you guys always are on the same page as far as the account has this much money, our savings has this much money, and we shouldn't go out to eat so much this week. We should, you know, cook more at home, and you know, stuff like that. Always communicate with each other to where it's not like your spouse is surprised one month when he sees the account. He's like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? That's why it's so important to talk about it. And that's probably what causes a lot of fights, is when there's no communication and people just freak out over like the amount of money they thought they had and they realize it wasn't that much money. So yeah, communicating is very important. What do you think?
Yeah, she answered the whole thing. It's pretty solid. I just feel like, you know, if there's a if you're not communicating, then you're like how she said, if your spouse like looks at the bank account and there's all of a sudden like, maybe it all depends on where you are financially, but maybe like a few $100s missing, a few $1,000s missing, it's going to be, you know, a reason to fight. So that's why it's so important just to tell your spouse like what's going on. You should never have an issue over money in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I definitely agree with you. So the next tip is, this is very important, and I will say this right now, this is something that I used to do all the time, and it was back when I was on my independent woman, I don't need you mentality, and that was to not compare paychecks, you guys. Like, there's no reason for me to be like, you can't tell me nothing, I make more money than you, or whatever the case may be, because I used to do that all the time to him. And it broke him down, you know, as a man, his ego, his pride. And I kind of took pride back then in doing that, because I was like, just so you know, I don't need you. And that is no way to live a marriage. It's so stupid, you guys, and that's probably a big issue in marriage, don't you think?
Yeah, because even for us now, like it never works out if you know, let's say, like, for instance, if I were to put her down and say, well, I make the money around here or whatever, like that's never gonna end up in like some positive result where we're like, hey, you sure do make all the money around here, you go, boy, or whatever. Like, it's never gonna happen. It's always gonna be like, you know, or an insult, a brash insult to your spouse or like whoever you're with. So, you know, it comes back to respect too. Like, let's say, like, as a man, right? Let's say, like, your lady happens to make more money than you. Well, okay, well, maybe she does. Maybe she went to school, maybe she got her master's, and now she has a great job, right? So, like, it's time to just, like, tip your hat and say, great job, versus, like, on the inside being, like, envious and being like, oh, I like how you make more money than I do, right? Because you never know what's around the corner for you. Maybe you'll go back to school and get educated, or maybe you'll find some job that, you know, is like in a field that you love or whatever, and you're making more money, right?
Yeah.
It's just a temporary thing, so don't worry about, like, whose paycheck is bigger right now.
And that's what it comes down to, guys. I actually have a video coming up soon about potential versus high standards. And what he said earlier about right now she may have a good paying job and he may be the one struggling a little bit, that's the same situation we were in when we got together. And I'll expand more in the video that I make about potential versus high standards, because when we got together, he was living in a broken down apartment and he had a broken down car, and I was paying our dates. He was struggling at that point in time. I was giving him money for his groceries. I was paying his light bill. And from the average person looking in, they'd be like, you're stupid, Lori. Like, why would you be doing that? But I saw potential in him. I saw something bigger than where he was right now. I saw where he could be. And fast forward 5-6 years later, I'm not working now and he's making all the money. And he's the one spoiling me. All these hauls you see, he's the one spoiling me with them. Sometimes you'll be doing better than your spouse will be. And that's no way to get a divorce over money. Like, that's why getting divorced over money is so stupid, because you never know what's around the corner. You never know what big job or big break's gonna happen. And if you give up on your marriage that fast over money, then straight up, you weren't in love to begin with. A spouse is supposed to go with you through the thick and the thin, the struggles, the $1 in the bank to the $10,000 in the bank. And you guys should be experiencing that together and talking about, man, do you remember when we lived in the hotel like we did? And now we live in a penthouse, or we bought a brand new truck. Like, that makes the victory so much sweeter, you guys. So if you guys are going through a financial struggle right now in your marriage, don't give up, because I'm telling you, we're telling you this from experience. Like, there will be something better around the corner. So, yeah.
Yep. Never say it's my money. You don't want to do that. Listen, if you start saying, listen, this is my money, my bank account, my truck, my house, my whatever, it goes back to what we were talking about before. You're just belittling your spouse. You're just putting them down and saying, listen, I run stuff around here, you don't. I'm better than you are. If you're married, you become one. So there is no I anymore. It's us, it's we. When I make a check, now we just made a check. Yeah. Same thing goes, like, if she makes a check, then we just made a check. So there is no, like, it's mine anymore. So you have to, like, eliminate that from your vocabulary, because it's not going to help out your relationship at all. All these tips that we're putting in here is because we've actually done it before.
Exactly.
Like, we've made these mistakes.
Exactly. Y'all may think we're perfect and we're not, because we've gotten into fights over this kind of stuff. And we're going to continue to make videos for Marriage Monday about stuff that we've gone through, because we're honestly an open book. We're not going to sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, we're perfect. Say cheese. Yeah, we're not going to do all that. You know, we're going to keep it real with you guys, because this is marriage. Marriage is not easy. There's so many obstacles you go through, and this is one of them. You know, arguing about money is one of them. And when we would say it's my money, we would get into fights, and it makes perfect sense why money is the leading cause in divorce, because you kind of feel belittled. Like, for some reason, money is such a sensitive topic. Like, You just get like so like, oh, like when you're broke, you're just like frustrated, and you're, you know, and honestly guys, even when you have money, you still get frustrated. You have to find a balance when it comes to money. Like if you're broke, you're gonna be frustrated. If you have a lot of money, you're gonna be frustrated because maybe your spouse is spending so much money, or they're just blowing it on stuff that they shouldn't even be buying, you know? There's always going to be some type of argument when it comes to money. You just have to learn how to just be right in the middle. And that's going to be the reason why your marriage works. Okay, so the next tip is something that I've seen a lot from family and friends and people that I know or we know, and that's to not sneak around. Like, you guys, there's no need for you to have a separate account or a separate savings or a little stash. Like, that is something you just don't do. Like, I know people that do that, and I will never understand it, and I've told them, like, I don't get that. Like, that's so weird to me. When you get married, like you said, you become one flesh. Not one flesh and two bank accounts. It's one flesh, one account, one house, one everything. So what do you feel about this topic?
And even like if, say you do have another account, well, let your spouse know about it, right? When it comes to having like two different accounts, if you're keeping one account away from your spouse, all you're doing is like giving them a reason not to trust you. Because sooner or later they're going to find out about it. You're going to leave like your credit card sitting out somewhere. They're going to have like a bank statement come to the house, whatever the case is. Yeah. They're going to find out, and they're going to not trust you. And then it's like all these questions will arise.
Why do you have an account? Do you have a mistress? Are you trying to leave me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's going to be an explosion.
Exactly.
So the next tip is, if you love to shop and you love to spend money, when you get married, you have to start respecting your spouse and be fair to them. You have to realize that you can't be going crazy buying shoes or dresses like you used to when you were single and when it was your money. Now it's not your money, it's our money.
When it comes to being fair, one thing I think is important, it's like, okay, well, let's say you want to get like new TV, new car, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't like look at the finances and like be so like narrow-minded and like tunnel vision on what you want and not realize, okay, well, she wants to have X, Y, and Z as well.
Yeah.
So let me just focus on what I want to get, the new like Xbox. It doesn't even matter what you want, but like whatever the item is, you can't be so like focused on it to where you totally forget about your spouse. And when like whenever you get paid, you finally get enough money, all you're thinking about is that one thing.
Yeah.
Even though she's been telling you for a long time, hey babe, I want to get this and that. Yeah. And just totally you're oblivious to it. So you can't do that.
And also, ladies, one thing that you need to realize is that women want stuff that's more minimal than men. So to compare, well, like, oh, well, I want some shoes and you want a brand new TV. That's kind of silly to compare because men they're not wanting clothes and shoes and home decor and candles like we do. Men want like a TV or a brand new truck. You know what I'm saying? So by comparing the two, it's really like, it's kind of pointless because that's just how, like, he wanted a brand new truck. And we had said, when we reach a certain amount in our savings, let's do it. And I was completely down with that, you know, because it's like he works hard and, you know, he wanted a truck. So he got a truck. And I can't compare that to like, oh, well, all I have is an iMac and home decor. That's not fair, Daryl. But I don't want a car. I don't want a truck. I don't want anything to that expense. So when you compare it, it's kind of silly. That's what we've come to realize, because it's just, there's no point in comparing.
And if you're looking for like permission for your spouse to get whatever that item is, it's like for her, she gets to get like a lot of little stuff. So it's like there's a bunch of yeses that I give her to buy whatever.
Yeah, because y'all know my home decor is like on point.
Yeah, so like me, I'm just waiting for just one yes. Like, can I get the truck? Yes, got it. All right.
And that's all that matters. I said no a lot. A lot. He's been wanting a truck for the longest time. He's been on his iPhone, all these pictures with trucks, watching YouTube videos on trucks for like years, like maybe about 2 years, if not more. Yeah. So I said no a lot. And so I finally said yes, and he was like, oh my God.
I took advantage of it that day. I said, bam, let's do it.
He really did. It was that fast, you guys. I said yes, and it was like, bam, we got the truck. So, yeah, but you deserve it, baby. You work hard.
Thank you, baby.
And it's a pretty truck. I like it.
Not prettier than you.
Oh, you're so sweet. The next tip we came up with is ask your spouse before any big purchases. So, like, as we were talking right now, he's saying that I said no a lot to him buying the truck. It's because he asked me. He would tell me, or he would ask me like, baby, I really want a truck. Can we afford it? What are the finances like? Back to going to knowing your roles. It's all connected, you guys. It's all connected. So he asked me and I said, no, sorry, we can't do it. I'm like his banker. Nope, sorry, denied. So he asked and he would ask, but if he ran off and came back from work with a new truck, you guys, he would not be here right now. Straight up. That's something you do not do. I know a lot of you ladies are like, oh, I'm not gonna ask my husband for permission. But if you guys have a problem with finances, maybe you should start asking. I know my husband appreciates when I ask him. You know, it's a respect factor. You're respecting each other by doing it.
And the thing is, like, I can speak for a lot of guys, like, they're not really gonna tell you no.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, like, as long as it's not like outrageous, like, you're gonna get told yes to. Like I said before, like, I tell her yes way more times than I ever have told her no. Like, I really can't even think of the times I've told her no. She, like, just now, we were in the store earlier. She was like, can I get this? Can I get this? Go for it. Whatever, right? But like me, I put a cap on myself if it's not something I really, really want.
Yeah, but he doesn't buy stuff for himself because he'd rather spoil me, so he won't buy himself stuff. So what I have to do is I have to secretly buy him a fossil watch that I know he's been wanting, or secretly buy him some shirts or underwear from Target that he's been wanting, because he won't buy it for himself. So that's just the way that works, because we're not big spenders, and that's something we've learned, like I said, with ourselves. But if you guys are big spenders, these tips will help you so much. And with money, there's no reason for you to be prideful or have ego, because when you have pride and ego, that's what's gonna mess you up, girlfriend or boyfriend. Like, that's what's gonna mess you up, because you need to learn how to ask, and you need to learn how to communicate with your spouse about your finances. You can't think, oh, it's my money, I can go buy whatever I want to. That's not the way it works. So the next tip that we came up with is to get financially independent. Now, when we say this is something that we're not dissing anybody. In our case, everything that we have is because we worked hard for it. My parents have helped us out a lot in like little small stuff here and there, because their parents, that's what they do, they care. But as far as like big purchases and bills and stuff like that, like we always took pride in ourselves to be like, even if we have $1 in the account, we're gonna pay our own bills. We have gotten so much more stronger in our marriage because we struggled, and because we were broke, and because we would lay there with our mattress on the floor looking up at the ceiling like, what are we doing? What are we doing with our lives? Why can't God give us a break? You know, we would question and question and question God's, you know, God's plans for us, without realizing like we were in the storm. We had to learn the lesson. We had to learn the lesson of why we were there, and it's definitely got our marriage stronger.
So the reason why this tip is on the list is because when you look at it, if you have to like get the down payment money, or you have to go pay the rent, or you're paying all the bills like amongst the two of you, like there's not going to be any more satisfaction than knowing that you did it yourself, right? That you're not having to go like knock on mom, dad's door or uncle's door or whatever and say, hey, can you give me some money for the down payment for whatever, or whatever the case is, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to build up the strength between you two as well, knowing that, okay, well, if we can go through, you know, having, like she said, $1 in the account, then we can go through anything. I know if we can go through like having $1 overdraft, we can definitely have thousands of dollars in the account, and it'd be just fun, because we've seen it all. Yeah.
And that definitely ties into our next tip, which is, if you guys are broke right now, don't think that's the end all be all. We've talked about this before, and we've been broke, living on friends' couches, and we've had zero money to our name. We had to have family bail us out. You know, like, they've helped us in ways of, you guys can stay here, but they've never been the ones to pay our bills, or to give us money to buy a house, or to you know, buy this truck like we just bought. This truck was such a monumental moment in our life, because we did it all on our own, and it was just so amazing. Like, we literally were teary-eyed in the truck dealership, because we were just looking at each other like, you realize like 2 years ago we were living in a hotel, and we did not know what was going on with our life. We did not know why God was putting us through what he was putting us through. I remember just sitting in the hotel by myself when he was working and I couldn't get a job. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like what has our life come to? Like you get in these moments where you're just like, why God, why? And what we fail to realize in those moments is we need to find the lesson and learn from it. And it's always about faith over worry. Faith over worry is everything, because you need to always let your faith be stronger than your worry. If you guys are struggling with finances, you definitely need to just trust in the Lord and have your faith be the number one thing that you hold on to during that time. Because like we said, we've been there, guys. We've been there. We've been at the bottom of the bottom and we could not even see a light. We were in a dark, dark tunnel and all we had was each other. And this is exactly why I say, if you guys are broke right now and you're in a marriage, hold on to each other, guys. Don't fight with each other. Don't say, oh, it's your fault we're like this, or blame each other or argue about it. Like, hold on to each other and trust in each other and know, you know what, you're gonna get that job and then we're gonna be great and we're gonna, you know, whatever the case may be, always hold on to that, because we held on to each other and our marriage is so strong, like it's ridiculous. Like he knew I was down with him since day one, with me paying for our first date, and here we are now, and it's life's so good right now, you know, because we held on to each other and we made sure that we always kept each other's spirits high.
She's right. Yeah, your money can always change. So if you have like 20 cents in the bank account right now, that doesn't mean that in a year from now you can't have way more than that, or have the house you want or the truck you want or whatever the case is. So it's all about staying positive. You have to master positivity, and sometimes maybe your spouse isn't the positive one, where you got to be the rock for them. Same thing when you go through something, now your spouse has to be the rock for you. If
I'm having a moment of weakness, he's my rock, and he's there like, baby, let's go, you can do it, you know, stay positive, and vice versa. There's always something better around the corner, you guys. High five. Okay, so the last tip that we have for you guys is, to me, the most important tip, I think, because it ties everything together, and that is to not let money equal happiness, because that's not the way it works. Money does not equal happiness. Y'all equal happiness in your marriage. Each other, no matter what, because when you're broke, you should always love your spouse the same way if you're not broke, period. Like, if you guys have $1 in the bank, I remember we have some of the best memories when we were broke, because we would just find stuff to do that didn't require money, and we would just have fun, go to the park, or, you know, do stuff like that, get to know each other, talk. You know, there is times where we literally would be laying on the bed in the dark, and we had no cable, we had none of that stuff. We would just talk and talk and talk, and we got to know each other so well. And I think when you let money equal happiness, that's when more fights happen. You're focusing on the wrong things. You should focus on living in the present, enjoying time right now. You know, you're not promised tomorrow, so you need to, you know, focus on your true happiness in your spouse, not making more money and more money and more money, and letting that be your drive. You know, because first and foremost, God should always be your drive. You should be living for God, not living for money, because money is the root of all evil. And that's what we hold on to, because we don't want to let money run our life.
I remember, just kind of like how you were saying, that when we first got together, we had a lot of good memories of getting to know each other. Mm-hmm. Because when you start making more money, it all depends on what you're doing to make that money, but like a lot of the times it can take a lot of your time. Mm-hmm. And then your conversations with your spouse, unfortunately, become a lot shorter. And you know, just don't have time just to do random stuff anymore. So like, if you're not where you want to be financially, keep working to get there by all means, but definitely appreciate just the more time that you have to do whatever it is that you're doing, or even not doing. You know, mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with just sitting down not doing anything. You know, but like, we're doing it together, just like taking that time just to enjoy the fact that you're physically together in the same room with your significant other.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you when it comes to that, about just kind of enjoying time with your spouse and not letting money be like everything in your life. Okay, you guys, so that's all we have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this Marriage Monday episode on money and finances and divorce and marriage and all that stuff. I want to reiterate again, we are not therapists or doctors. We speak from experience and we speak from what's gone on in our life, and we speak from our hearts, and we want to help you guys because these are important things to know. We just wanted to give you some tips on what's helped our marriage, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys have any other topics that you guys want us to talk about, or if you guys want to see Daryl more, write down below and let us know so he can be more in these Marriage Monday videos, which you should be with me because it is Marriage Monday and this is a marriage.
That's true.
Yeah.
True that.
Would you guys like that? Would you guys like to see more of this little face on Marriage Monday? Because if you guys have any more topics, like I said, write them down below because we would love to talk about whatever you guys want to hear. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. If you guys are new, make sure you write a comment down below so we can talk and get to know each other because I love to interact with you guys. And follow me on all my social media. Everything is at Lori Darks. Make sure you stay tuned to my channel. I have a lot of Christmas decor coming soon, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, lovelies.
Hater.